Master Trooper Daniel A. Stainbrook, Wisconsin State Patrol, Wisconsin. Corrections Officer Rhonda Jean Russell, Blair County, Pennsylvania. Wesley Vanderver, Mount Pleasant, Texas. David Eads, Freakston, Texas.
Welcome back to American Sons Podcast. My name's Christian.
It's Dylan.
And real quick, before we get started, we just want to thank the Scooter Brown Band again for letting us use their music as our intro and outro song. And, of course, last week, the big topic, and this week, was Kyle Rittenhouse. And we want to talk about that because I've been on Twitter, on our podcast Twitter, going back and forth with some people. So before we get started, I spent basically the whole episode last week talking about my thoughts on it. So why don't you summarize your thoughts on the whole thing?
I mean, there's a lot of controversy around it. It just aggravates me because it's all based on the fact that there's these BS riots going on, and there was a guy there trying to defend his family's property. And then it turned into defending his life, and people, are saying that he's the guilty one. It just drives me freaking crazy. There's all these criminals destroying property. They should be punished, Maybe not. Maybe they didn't need to die. I'm not saying the ones he killed didn't need to die if they were trying to kill him, right? But all the people there, I'm not saying need to be killed.
They should have got charged.
They should have gotten freaking trouble.
Yeah. But they won't be. And you know what? Someone pointed out that the FBI...
Billions of dollars done in damage to the country out there, and no one's blinking an eye about it.
Someone pointed out that in the trial, the FBI had all that drone footage where they could have identified all those people and charged them like they did on the January 6th stuff, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, because it's not part of the narrative.
So make that make sense.
It's not part of the narrative.
No, it's not. So I was on Twitter today, actually, going back and forth with a guy who says, I believe he's a Navy SEAL on his page. So I'm surprised he even thinks this way because, yeah, he says he's a frogman, which usually refers to someone as a Navy SEAL. So basically the tweet was from a guy named Jesse Kelly. He said, raise your sons to be the type of men who go clean up communist graffiti by day and pick up a weapon to stand post at night. I still see so much talk about he shouldn't even be there. He was exactly where a man should be. This is a pretty hot take on this because, I mean, I've never thought about it that way, that he should have been there. And what he's referencing basically is that the police couldn't do anything that night. From what I've read and seen, they were basically, you saw they were doing nothing. They just had a line set up where Kyle walked to after everything happened.
Right.
So this guy, the Navy SEAL, if he even is one, because it is Twitter, he replied and said he wasn't a man. Picking up a weapon and seeking conflict is a textbook definition of vigilantism. I said that all wrong. Whatever. If Kyle wants to defend his community/country, he can enlist or join the police. So obviously I saw this and I had to put my 2 cents in. And I said, except he didn't seek conflict. If you watched 10 seconds of the trial, you would know that. If that was the case, a lot more people would have been dead, not just the ones that attacked him.
Right.
If you watch the video, the people that backed up with their hands up, he pointed at them, but he didn't pull the trigger. He was scanning. You could see him looking at everybody. The people who were backing up, they didn't die. They didn't get shot. The only people that got shot were the ones who attacked him and tried to take his gun. And I try to explain it to people, like these 3 situations. If that was a cop, would they have shot? Yes, they would have shot. If you try to grab a cop's gun, you're going to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you try to drop kick a cop, you're going to die.
Try to hit him in the head with a skateboard.
You're going to die. If you put a gun to his head, you're going to die. I mean, he's lucky. The guy that drop kicked Kyle in the head, Kyle did shoot, but he missed him. So that guy's lucky. Anyway, this Navy SEAL guy replied back and said he coordinated the acquisition of a rifle, ammo, and transportation to the area, then got close enough to protesters that they could grab his gun. And then he said, get the F out of here. And I said, in quotes, got close enough, end quote. More like they chased him. The trial just proved all of this with video evidence. Anybody with an ounce of a brain cell who watched the trial can see that. And other people are commenting back and saying, like, he illegally obtained the gun and No, he didn't. The trial dropped that charge for that reason. He had a right to carry the gun, and in that state, when you're 16, you can carry a gun, a 16-inch barreled gun, which is an AR-15, basically. You're allowed to open carry that. So that's why that charge got dropped. But the main reason we're bringing this up, one, because I want to talk about that Twitter feed. Secondly, is the racial stuff coming out about this. And I feel like they have nothing else to complain about, so it turned into a racial fiasco. I mean, what do you think about that?
It's insane. It's just them trying to inspire more violence and more, emotional reactions. Conflict with people over this stuff. This is not going to be something they let go for a while.
No, and I feel like everyone's getting tired of the race thing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was thinking about this in the shower today. It's like, it's the meaning to beating the dead horse, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you take a bat, and this is kind of crude, but if you take a bat and beat that dead horse, you keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, so much so that to the point where you're going to hit it at some point and you're just going to hit the ground. And it's the same thing with like using the term racist or homophobic or anything transphobic. If you use them that much and you use it so often, at some point it's just going to lose its meaning. Like we got called racist once. And we didn't bat an eye. It's like, all right.
Right.
But Andy Frisella made a good point. 10 years ago, if someone called you a racist, it would be like the end of the world. Now it's just like, all right, just screw off. No one cares. It's like calling someone stupid. So I feel like they have nowhere else to turn with this, so they have to make it about something. But I also think it's to cover up another trial going on right now. And they're trying to rile up people so they don't talk about something else going on.
Yeah, the co-conspirator of a global sex trafficking ring.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
So let's talk about that. This lady's going on trial, and Kyle Rittenhouse is ending his trial, which shouldn't even have been televised in the first place because it was self-defense from day one. It shouldn't even been a trial. And suddenly they want to turn this into a race issue, make it bigger than it is. Like there's riots in Portland right now. Not even across the country, there's riots over something that didn't even affect them.
Because the media tells them to be upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I was going back and forth. I get in a lot of debates. I need to stop on social media. But I was going back and forth with a guy. Me and another friend were going back and forth with a guy. And all he could say was that Kyle was a white supremacist and that we were defending a white supremacist and la, 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 la. And he couldn't back up anything he was saying. And, the guy who was arguing with me posted 2 links. One of them was a man who shot at cops in unrest over Floyd death is acquitted. He was black. And then another one in Chicago, prosecutors reject charges against 5 suspects in deadly shooting, and they call it mutual combatants. And it's noted that they shot somewhere around 70 shots, if I'm correct. I might be wrong on that. But they shot some absurd number of shots, and they didn't get charged for anything. One person died, a few other got injured. And we want to talk about that Kyle, just because he's white, he got off of these charges. I can't. So every time someone shoots somebody else in self-defense, we're going to call it racist now?
Yeah, right.
So what are we calling the black-on-black crime in Chicago? Is that racist?
They don't call it anything. They don't even respond to it.
They don't want to talk about it.
No.
Yeah.
Because that's anti-narrative.
It really is. If someone's carrying and they shoot somebody over self-defense, someone comes at them with a knife, and they're white, are you going to call that racist or racism? That's the point I'm trying to get. Like, they're beating a dead horse at this point where it's losing its meaning to so much. It's so stupid.
Yeah, they're discrediting anything that would be real racism. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like we were just talking about before, me and my fiance last night watched a movie called The Butler. Really good movie. I came in like halfway through, but I was watching it, and it's based on a true story, and it is during the civil rights movement. and the stuff that they were portraying on there, I mean, whether it's true or not to the story, it did happen at some point in history, and it's disgusting, some of the stuff that was going on in that movie. I mean, most of the movie was about racism, so it was all disgusting. But some of the events that took place, like they were lighting buildings on fire over racism, it was gross. And you want to compare that to today. It's like, do you want to be equal or do you want to be a victim?
Yeah.
Because when's the last time you truly saw racism?
Me?
Now we're white, but seriously,
I mean, I don't know.
have you ever seen a white person do something to a black person because they're black?
Not that I can remember, no. Now,
Right.
most people would say, oh, well, you wouldn't pick up on it because you're white.
Yeah, most people would say, well, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Well, we could say that all day and act like the world's full of racism when it's not, and it's all media-based narrative.
Right.
And dude, it's just so stupid. It's so tiring.
It is.
It's like so exhausting. Because it's like, do you want to be equal or do you want to be a victim? Just like LGBTQ. Like, what do you want? I feel like people want to feel sorry for themselves and have something to complain about, so people make up stuff.
These small, well-organized minorities, though, specifically speaking about like some of the crazy far-left LGBTQ alphabet, groups, they're actually becoming the oppressors, because if we don't agree with what they want to do, meaning over-sexualize our kids, teach our kids stuff in school, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on, and it should be infuriating. If we don't agree with that, they claim they're victim, hood, whatever. But now you have all these policies, this stuff being taught in schools that they are backing, and it's being done. So you can't be a victim if everything that you want is happening. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
That's
they're
a really
actually
great
the
point.
oppressors.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about
We're the
that.
ones that are freaking having to deal with their crap.
Yeah, and I would say the straight white male in 2021 is more oppressed than LGBTQ or anybody else. That's a hot take right there.
That's a hot take,
Someone's
but
going to be mad about that. But
I don't care.
Because it's true.
Right.
It's like, do you want to be equal? Do you want to be treated equal, or do you want to be treated like a victim? Like
The problem is they are treated equal now. They don't want equality. They want privilege.
You're making some great points tonight.
They want
Yeah.
want you to walk on eggshells around them and do and say everything that they want you to do and say.
Like, you're not special.
Oh, you changed
Nobody's
your freaking
special.
pronoun yesterday? So I'm not supposed to call you he, I'm supposed to call you they? What are you, more than one person, you freaking idiot? No, they want privilege. They don't want equality. Me calling you a freaking idiot is equality because you can call me a freaking idiot. And there's some days where I am probably an idiot, but they, like I said, they don't want equality because that's not good enough for them. They want to be put on this pedestal where nothing they do or say can be wrong.
Yeah, and their way goes, which we're not going to rule the world. I'm sorry, not the world, our country off a small minority, because that's not how that works.
No, they've been given freedom. That's freaking it. You're free, I'm free. We should just both relish in our freedoms and be done with it, No more conflict.
Right. Like, you're gay?
Don't push it
Cool,
on
bro.
me. I'm not going to push my belief on you. Now piss off.
Yeah.
Let
It's
me
like,
be.
It's like, if you're gay, cool, bro. All right, you want to go get a beer? If you're
Yeah,
black,
right.
cool,
I may
bro.
not
I don't
agree
care.
with you, but I don't have to agree with you. I'm not trying to stop you either. I'm not going to
Right,
force you to
right.
stop. I don't have to agree with you either.
Right.
You know?
Like, I don't necessarily, like, I think I really like Ben Shapiro's take on this, like the trans stuff. He's like, I'm not going to call you he or she or what you prefer to be called, but I'll call you by what name you prefer to be called in person because you can legally change your name. Cool. I don't call, and that's, I think he has a great point there, but he basically says, I'm not going to pretend what biology is just because it makes you feel better.
Right.
No, that was a mental disorder up until like 2 years ago.
Well, the
And-
fact that the media and the far left has been able to convince 40% of this country, or it's actually probably a very small percentage. They're
It
just
is.
the loud percentage. They're the squeaky wheel, and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But the fact that these people have been convinced that biology, in fact, doesn't matter, and a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, and there's more than two genders, it's asinine.
It is.
It's like the most basic factual principle in the world, on the planet, is that there's a male and there's a female, and that's it.
See, Andy Frisella
And
talked
people
about this.
are saying that's not true anymore. And if you can get them to say that's not true,
You can say anything.
What the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, Andy Frisella touched on this, and I think they were talking about like the vaccines a little bit, and he was basically saying that, like, if I can tell you, a female, that you're a male, and everyone around you should call you that, again, the most basic biological principle known to man and woman, then what can I not get you to say?
Yeah.
I can make you look up at the sky and say it's red.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't think it's red, someone else might think it's red, and you don't want to offend them, so the sky's red.
Yeah, this political correct movement that's happened however many years ago, and this don't step on people's toes, don't offend other people stuff, it's gone way too far.
Yeah.
Way too far. Because
literally.
sometimes you need your freaking toes stepped on. You know? Sometimes people just need to be able to disagree, and you need to be capable of being proven wrong.
Right.
Because if
ego.
you were
Yeah.
ego and sensitivity and however many list of freaking adjectives you want to use, but if you are proven wrong about something you think was true or something you do that was true, whatever, then you're ultimately a better person for now knowing what's right, whether it be science or mathematics or how to drive a bicycle. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's across the board. When you learn how to do something correctly, or you learn information that is correct and you previously had an incorrect way of thinking or way of doing something, you are a better person because of that experience.
But you lose that credibility when you don't accept the fact that you were wrong beforehand.
Well, yeah, sure. And you look like an idiot to anyone with a brain.
Which is most people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, we have listeners, friends, family, people, you know, doesn't matter if they listen or not. But there's tons of people in this world that think, oh, we're outnumbered. But we really aren't.
Mm-mm.
It's just, you know, unfortunately, so many people are silent in the way that they think and feel. And people need to start speaking out and speaking up.
People are scared.
And change their actions.
They
but
think that if
you're
they-
not in the
yeah.
minority, dude. Like, you are, in fact, the majority. Most people have, at the very least, enough common sense. It's not so common anymore, but enough common sense to see through this BS.
People are scared. They think that if they speak out, they're going to hurt Billy Bob Joe's feelings down the street. Like, who cares? If you're on your deathbed and you never stood for what you believe in, what are you going to think about yourself? Like we, at some point, you have to stop caring and realize, like, I know a ton of people, like, and we always quote Andy, but Andy Frisella talked about this, how he has thousands of people DMing him all the time saying, like, hey, I really agree with you. But then he clicks on their pages and there's nothing there about it. Like, what? Like today. Okay, so today I do graphic design on the side, and I made I don't know if you saw it. I post on our the skull.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you get from
I
it?
liked it, man. Come on.
Could you, like, tell what it was saying?
The media going through the eyes of the skull.
And then, like, the world was, like, society. That's all they could think about.
Yeah.
So, like, you got, like, people need to talk. Like, nothing's going to change if you don't talk. So if you have 100 people in a room and one person is screaming at the top of their lungs and the rest of the 99 are just going along with it, and if they tell them to be quiet, they feel like they're going to hurt their feelings and society's going to shame them, and they just keep screaming and keep screaming and keep screaming. That's all that's going on right now.
On the random videos that you see of situations like that, when somebody finally stands up and is like, shut the heck up, the whole room cheers.
Yeah.
Everyone feels this way.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that person screaming to shut the heck up.
Yeah.
But no one's got the balls to say it.
Yeah, people need to. I think the people that are, like, really crude and just don't care and just say whatever say whatever is on their mind, are the ones who are changing that a little bit, because that's what needs to happen. Like, at some point, dude.
It's coming. Change is coming.
I feel like it is.
The good change. Unfortunately, it might not be. It might not happen in a good way if people don't start standing up against these things now. Like, it's gonna come to violence. It's gonna come to civil unrest, all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, it's approaching quicker and quicker as this, government and these organizations start messing with people's kids.
Now, you know what? I'm going to have another hot take here, and I'm not trying to incite anything, but the fact that Kyle walked, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more people out defending businesses armed, because now there's
that should have never been an issue.
No, it shouldn't have, because the cops should have been doing their job in the first place.
Shouldn't be an issue either.
Oh, no, the whole self-defense thing shouldn't have been, because that's literally your right.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see a lot more people actually out during riots defending businesses, because now there's a precedent set of self-defense.
Yeah, right. So part of that, it's because of Wisconsin, their law and his age and all that stuff, right? But, yes, honestly, I'll just say I hope there's more people out standing and defending this stuff.
So do I.
Because the amount of destruction that happened, that's true. The amount of destruction that happened before this ever was a thing, about George Floyd riots and whatever else happened.
Literally domestic terrorism.
Yeah, they took over how many blocks in Portland or whatever?
A police station.
Burned more than one down.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you, who was it, Jefferson, that said an armed society is a polite society?
Yeah, that's right.
If you line the streets with civilians that are armed to the teeth with guns, and you have all these rioters coming out, and they know that if they touch somebody's property, that they're going to get a bullet between the eyes, they're probably not going to touch the property. It's common sense, unless you have those three idiots who try to drop kick somebody with an AR-15 pointed at them. I don't know how dumb you have to be to do that, but that
was natural selection.
It seriously was. Seriously, if someone's running away with me with a gun, I'm not going to chase them and try to grab the gun. How dumb do you have to be?
The fact that he retreated,
that's what basically built the whole case. If he would have started there and started popping off on people running at him, that's a whole different thing. But he retreated, and that's what built his self-defense case.
In a lot of states, you're not even inclined to retreat if someone's looking like they're going to freaking attack you.
Not the castle. It's the stand your ground law.
Yeah, that's right. It's not the castle doctrine.
Castle doctrines are in-house.
Or your dwelling.
Yeah, so I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that. You started to see it a little bit before this happened. But every time something happens, they get labeled as literally white supremacists or domestic terrorists for going out with guns and protecting property.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot more of it going on that we just never saw because the media squashes that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. No,
I remember seeing pictures of towns in Utah, because Utah's not that far away, really.
Yeah.
Where guys were all equipped, They
were out there with carriers.
Standing on Main Street, ready to put down any kind of violence or insurrection, these not peaceful protests, people throwing bricks through windows and then lighting that store on fire.
Yeah.
This is insanity, dude.
And when you think about it, those people that are doing that stuff, these are not people from the community.
No, and you know what else?
These are outside
Kyle
people.
Rittenhouse lifeguarded there. His dad lived there, or
the gun was there at his dad's place.
Right, yeah.
Picked it up,
but
I believe.
My point is, it's not his first time. He didn't just randomly go to Kenosha.
Right, which is
but
the narrative
whereas
they're
this
trying to
other guy, the guy that got shot in the bicep, Gross, however you say his last name, I don't remember, Gage, whatever. Anyways, he drove twice as far,
51 miles,
as
Kyle drove 20 something. He drove 51.
He drove twice as far to get there. And I don't think he had ever been to Kenosha before, if I remember reading that correctly. But
so you're talking about a person who hasn't even been there before, is there carrying a gun illegally.
Right.
Kyle was carrying legally. This guy had a concealed carry, but it was expired. Now, the whole felon thing, I'm not sure on it. There's mixed stuff. I don't know if he was a felon or not. But he definitely was, he was concealed carrying a gun without a CCW. So technically he's a felon right then and there. So, yeah. So he's there illegally carrying, and Kyle's there legally carrying. This guy draws a gun on him, points it at his head, and gets shot. And this guy he's not part of the community. He's there to cause harm and havoc. And Kyle's there. He was there to provide medical aid. He was there to, he was seen washing graffiti off buildings. He was seen putting out fires, but he had a gun on him for self-defense for something like that if it happened. The same way people who conceal carry, they go out through their everyday lives, but they have a tool on their tool belt in case someone wants to mess around and find out.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what those guys did. That literally, it was natural selection. Because I don't know why you would even try, but yeah, it's just asinine that this is even going anywhere racial. And I think I hope this was the last straw and people finally start to change with the racial stuff, because this is so blatantly obvious. It's not even funny, and people are just not doing it. It's just, I'm done with it, dude. It's so annoying.
We all are.
I hope he is a billionaire by the end of this. Seriously.
He's going to have more money than he did before.
That's for sure.
But anyways.
So for what, if you guys don't know, I don't know how people wouldn't know. Biden called him a white supremacist during campaign, which means he can sue him for defamation. Oh, like he can sue them. He can sue GoFundMe for taking down his account on GoFundMe. And he can sue MSNBC, CNN, all these places that called him a white supremacist and basically defamed his name. He's going to go back and sue.
Those two
millions.
Those two news stations were cast out of the court because they were following the jury.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, MSNBC, I think it was. They follow the jury
and
bus.
NBC too, I think. There was two of them.
Well, they follow the jury bus.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they tried to ask them names or record them. And the jury had already been getting like doxxed, like basically saying like if you find him anything other than guilty, you're going to get.
Thank God for those brave souls, because honestly, that's what they were. They were brave.
Yeah.
Because the amount of pressure on them from the people standing in front of the courthouse with the bullhorns and the mainstream media outlets. I mean.
Well, the same thing with the
but
judge.
This is what's happening in this country, freaking communism. And if you don't play along with the narrative, if you don't try to, do what they want you to do, then you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be blackballed.
Not even that. That was physical threats. The judge got death threats.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Him and his family. So. You're talking about a side who now wants to bully their. I mean, this is nothing new.
This is the peaceful side, though, right?
The
accepting side, the side of tolerance.
Dude, people are seeing right through this now, and it's actually really nice to see. Like, I'll be on TikTok and see stuff. Like before you got here, I was on TikTok. Surprise, and this thing came up. This Native American kid was like, basically, the TikTok was "Hello, colonizer." And basically, the whole TikTok after that was pictures of like George Washington and like Columbus, and it had a black box over their eyes, and it said "Cope" across their eyes, and then it had like Kyle Rittenhouse with "Cope" across his eyes. And I think that in all the comments, there was like 70,000 comments, and it was all the same thing. It was like, "Get lost, get over it." Like that's how stuff was done back then. Like, and these aren't random people; these are kids, these are teenagers, adult. I mean, 70,000 people commenting the same thing on these posts. It has to tell you something. People are sick and tired of it, and I think the way this stuff's going to end is just not to care anymore. I don't care if I'm going to hurt your feelings. I really don't.
Right.
Get over it. Like,
I hope that's how it ends. I hope it doesn't come to violence.
I feel like we're coming out of a really soft time, and it's going to turn a lot of people into like hard asses, and they're not going to care anymore.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Which is why this pendulum's going to swing the other way too far, potentially. Because that one episode with Frisella, I can't remember who he had on, but the guy said the pendulum always swings too far, and I thought that was a decent point.
Well, you just saw it with the left. Well, that's where we're at right now.
No, we are there. We've been there for too long.
Right.
The pendulum is way too far left, and it's been there way too long. I mean, I honestly don't think it's ever been too far right, but maybe it has. I guess you could say it has back in the time of that movie that you just watched when, like, true violent racism was a thing and it was no big deal. Maybe you could argue then it was too far right, I guess. That would be the only thing.
That would be a decent point.
I'm not even saying, but that was everybody, So,
no, and it wasn't. But
and I'm not going to say that
if you want to talk about like minority and majority.
I was just saying that if you wanted to come up with some kind of example, maybe that's it. I don't even know if that's it.
Well, I think it's not left or right. It might be, but it's like minority majority. If that's how if you want to do like the civil rights stuff, like
Because most people are even on the right. Everyone on the right's down with civil rights too.
Yeah.
So it's not the great example is what I'm trying to say.
You're not going to find anybody on the right or left who will sit there and watch racism and not do something about it. Like, everybody's against the same stuff. Like Andy Frisella said, and I agree with him 100%. God, we got to stop referencing him so much. It's mostly me.
Just got to have him on the show.
Yeah, or go be on his show, shout out. Like he said, he's like, he has he has someone who's trans in his family. He doesn't agree with it, and then if he saw a trans person getting beat up on the side of the road, he would stop and beat the crap out of the person doing it.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing. Like, you're not going to find people, your everyday person who's right is not for racism. They just want to live their life and not hear about, like, just live your freaking life.
And racism was not like, it wasn't a thing until the media started making it a thing again.
Yeah.
There are racist people, but systemic racism is no longer a thing.
When you have a national coverage covering one thing, let's say Floyd. I mean, that was an extreme example. Let's say anything. Let's say let's talk about SU. So Salisbury University. Remember when they had someone wrote the N-word on the walls or something? It was like a few months ago or like a year ago. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Well, that happened, and it got blown out of proportion. Like, oh my God, there was walkouts and there was marches.
How many of those things are done by a black person?
That one was.
That's what I'm saying.
They came back and it was all quiet and they didn't talk about it.
Yep.
WBOC didn't talk about it. Now put that on the national level. Now if you just harp on that and harp on that and harp on that and harp on that and keep bringing up random isolated events over and over, you're gonna cause
you get all
people,
these soft-minded people to be like, "Oh man, this is real.
It's everywhere.
This is real.
It's
This is
everywhere."
everywhere." And then they start imagining seeing things in the grocery store because somebody, I don't know.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is cause people to have that lens on life,
Yeah,
the
that's
racial
true.
lens.
That's a good way to put it.
I think about holding the door for people. Like, if I go to Wawa and there's a black person behind me, I'm not going to shut the door in their face because they're black. You know what I mean?
I didn't even see color, dude, growing up.
That's what I'm saying. If racism was so bad today, you would see it everywhere. It would just be prior to the civil rights movement.
Yeah, for sure.
Colored and non-colored fountains.
Now it's just healthism.
We were watching
Vaccinated, unvaccinated, water fountains.
We were watching that movie yesterday, and I was listening to some of the wording and stuff, and the colored and non-colored signs and all that. I looked at her and I was like, "What does this look like?" And she was like, "Yeah, I know what you're getting at." And I was like, "Yeah, it really. I mean, it literally mimics it. It's the same thing."
Yep.
But
you can't say that because the problem is we on the right and even the middle, because the left is so far freaking left now.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
We all, like you said earlier, Christian, we all pretty much agree on the same things. If you could take people out of this heated, media-driven political context of these arguments and both sit them both down in a restaurant, more than likely they're going to agree on 90% of stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
Of course, we're all going to have our disagreements. But on the big issues, more than likely, you're going to agree. So the problem is this small percentage of people have been way too loud for way too long. And so, as I said before, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. They're getting all the attention. They're getting everything they want. We need to start speaking up that loud and start digging our heels in that hard. Because the problem is, and I've said this for a long time, you give an inch, they take a mile. We've given so many inches. Now we are so many miles from where we used to be, where we want to be, and we just now are starting to pull our freaking heads out of the sand and see it. It's too late. It's not too late, but it's just we've made it that much harder on ourselves.
It's getting to the extreme point where it's going to take extreme measures to get it back to where we want it.
It's going to be an uphill battle.
That's for sure. And we're not talking about oppressing people or anything like that.
Not
We're
by
talking
any
about getting
means.
back to a normal life where it doesn't matter that, I'll talk about TikTok again. When people are introducing stuff, they're like, well, I'm such and such and I'm gay. I don't care. Now it's getting to the point where I'm such and such and I'm vaccinated. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
I'm black. Great. I don't care. I'm white. Great to meet you. I want to get to the point.
You're a racist if you said that.
Oh yeah, call me a racist. I don't care.
Anyway.
I want to get to the point where you meet someone and it's about authenticity and how friendly they are, not about the color of their skin, what they like. It's
If you introduce yourself to me and you say anything other than your name, I'm walking away.
Seriously.
Hi, I'm Christian. Good to meet you, Christian. Hi, I'm freaking Eunice, and I am a unicorn. Yeah. Okay. See you later.
Bye. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like,
Anyway.
I'm literally face blending right now, like, or face whatever. It's just so tiring. It's like I don't see it. It's mostly the internet, I think.
What absolutely is.
It's
I'm
where
gonna be
people are
honest.
anonymous and they can say whatever they want.
Sure. And you got all these keyboard warriors that are all puff their chests out online. They would never, ever say anything like they do say in person, which
No.
is the problem because more people need to have their rear ends whipped, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just saying by their parents. I'm saying sometimes people need to get punched in the face for what they say or do to other people, you know? And that's not been happening for probably 40 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
20 years,
People
whatever.
People are not scared
So-
of getting punched in the mouth because it doesn't happen.
Right. And, gosh dang it, I lost my train of thought. You better take over because I can't think right now.
It's okay.
I'll remember in a second, though.
I'll just keep going with it. People are not scared. It just goes back to like the property, defending property and rights and all that. If people are scared of a consequence for doing something, they're probably not going to do it. If I walked up to my mother and I told her, "You're stupid," she would backhand me so quickly at 24 and I would never do it again. You know why I won't do it now? I mean, because I'm a decent person. But when I was a kid, I told her to shut up one time, and I got my face knocked into last Tuesday. I never said it again.
Yeah.
But people aren't scared. People aren't scared to say, I don't think you should be scared to speak your
People don't have
mind.
respect anymore.
Right.
People don't have, like you said, decency. People don't have a lot of things. And I remember what I was going to say. It wasn't not very much of a big deal. But I was just going to say, admittedly so, and I shouldn't be, especially doing this podcast, but here the past couple of weeks, I've really been just kind of staying off social media and everything because especially having kids now, some of this stuff just starts to feel heavy. And
Yeah.
I just get tired of seeing it, tired of hearing about it, and tired of thinking about it because I do not want it to come to my front door because I'm not going to react well to it.
Right. Well, it's different. It's fueling the fire even more for you because you have kids. You know what I mean? I don't have kids, but I can see how when I do have them, it's just going to make me a lot more mad.
Yeah, it's going to make you feel that much more passionate about the issues. That's what it's done for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want,
do either of us want to spend the hours that we spend doing this podcast? Yeah, sometimes it's definitely cool. I love hanging out with you guys, but
Yeah.
this podcast is not the number one thing on my priority list.
Right. Yeah.
But we do this because we can see the importance of doing this kind of thing is for today and for the future. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, yeah, and we have, I was on our Instagram today, and we had someone reach out. I had found the message. I hate how that you have to accept a request. Mm-hmm. I wish it would just go in the inbox so I could see it because I didn't see the requesting until today. And I went in there. I was talking to the person. They were like, "I am a local farmer, and I love your guys' stuff. Everything you guys say is right on point."
I saw that today.
Oh, did you see it? Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of thing. That's what drives me to do this because I know
certainly.
people agree.
Yep.
And there's common people that agree with what we're saying.
Yeah, and hopefully these people are going to start becoming encouraged to start standing up and speaking up for themselves and for their families. Because at the end of the day, if you want to sit in your own little bubble and think this is all going to go away, that's fine. But I can tell you it's not. But what's more important, if you got a family or if you have a brother that has a family or a sister that has a family or a friend that has a family, stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about those other people, especially the young kids that are going to have to deal with the consequences of all this crap that we're doing today. The future is going to... Or lack of doing, for as far as the 80% of people that aren't saying things. But yes, you're exactly right. The biggest group that's going to reap the consequences of what's going on right now is the kids in 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Young adults, teenagers, all those people.
When we have kids, and you know what? If I really don't care. I don't care about saying this. Being trans was a mental disorder up to 2 years ago. I don't agree with it. If you want to live that way, you do you, bro. I don't care. Like, just I don't feel like hearing about it. If we're going to teach that's normal in our schools, we're breeding a whole generation of confused kids that don't know the difference between left and right.
I care, and I'll tell you why I care. Because if a guy tries to walk into the bathroom behind one of my daughters, he will walk out a woman.
That was good.
He will.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can tell you right now, I ain't standing for that crap. And
even
I ain't doing it.
Locally, that's been happening. I don't know if you've seen this, but I can't remember the school district, but locally to us, there has been a school that said that they were going to let the kids decide which bathroom they go into and use.
Yeah, well, I just heard a thing about that happened. I believe it was in Kentucky, and the boy went into the girl's bathroom because he had a skirt on, and he raped a girl on that. And then he left that school and went to another school and did the same thing.
Yep.
Was that in Kentucky?
I think it was Virginia. That was one where the guy was saying he was. They were calling him domestic terrorist. The parent that went. I don't know, but it happened. It happened.
Doesn't matter where anyway.
No,
right.
I think it was the Loudoun County. If you don't think that, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, men are bad and they
men aren't bad.
They do everything, but when you have teenagers, I know where my mind was when I was that age.
Oh yeah, well that kid's also effed up enough in the mind to think he needs to wear a skirt and can go in the girl's bathroom.
Right.
I can tell you one thing. When I was a young kid, I didn't want to go anywhere near the girl's bathroom because I knew it was disrespectful, for one. And for two, I was told to not go anywhere near the freaking girl's bathroom. That is a private area for girls, and you respect that space, right? Kids aren't taught that anymore, apparently.
Yeah, dude, even when I was in college, there was a girl that lived on our floor. My room was like right next to because like the men's bathroom was all the way at the end of the hall, and the girls' bathroom was up near my end of the hall. So I was like right there. And one of the girls that lived next to me, she was having a rough night after drinking, whatever. She came home from a party and she needed some help, and she was in the bathroom and she was texting me to come like help her. And I even felt weird going in then. And I was helping her.
Yeah, dude.
And like I remember holding the door open. I was holding the door open with my foot, but I was also in the stall helping her.
I was just about
because
to say
I didn't
that.
want someone walking in without me. And that was in college, dude. I was like 19.
100%. I was just about to say like, if there was a door stop in the area, I would have opened the door with that door stop so that
because I'm
there's
so uncomfortable.
nothing. Yeah,
right.
No questions about what's going on in there, because unfortunately today's world, people will try to turn themselves or somebody else into a victim and say, oh, Christian did this. No, he didn't. He was helping this poor drunk girl,
right.
But that's the world we live in.
I mean,
it shouldn't be.
That's like, I even now, like, if I had to go help, like, my fiance, like, say she was in the bathroom, if she was in there, whatever, say she would cut her finger open and she was in there and she needed me to help her, I'd still feel weird going in there. Like, seriously. I wouldn't feel decent being in there. I'll just say that. You know what I mean? Like,
wait until you're married then.
Yeah. But it's like that type of thing that like kids now, and I see it on TikTok and Instagram, like where kids' heads are right now. Just like I went to the football game, the local football game, the last 2 Fridays, and just like listening to the kids, not teenagers. You're talking like 10 and 12-year-olds. How they're like talking to each other and what they're talking about, the words coming out of their mouth.
It's unbelievable,
dude. I would have gotten backhanded. I would have been dead at their age.
Well, the problem, kids will be kids to an extent, and so parents can't necessarily know or do something about every single thing their kid does, and that's understandable. It's a part of growing up is making mistakes, but it's so rampant now because they're not taught at home how to act when they're not at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went through a phase when I was young of, trying to be a tough guy or whatever and talking like I shouldn't talk. But I quickly grew out of it because I started realizing like, dude, this does not make you cooler, Dylan. Right. You don't sound any cooler because you said a couple cuss words.
Well, that's every guy. Every guy goes through that because he's trying to impress girls, trying to make
But what I'm saying is like there's no kids aren't growing out of it anymore.
No,
it's and this is going back to like you said. And this could be a whole nother topic, but as far as men being labeled as dangerous or bad or what toxic masculinity, all that BS. This is part of the dangerous area with like this new age feminism and then the the twin joined at the hip of toxic masculinity. When you start devaluing strong men and also devaluing women in their natural roles, you know, as far as being a mother, and I'm not saying, you know, women stay in the kitchen. That's not what I'm saying by natural roles. I'm saying like there are differences between men and women, and when you devalue that, you have this boy wearing a skirt going into the girl's bathroom and raping a girl because he doesn't respect her, he doesn't respect himself, and he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. He's so messed up in the head. That kid's probably never going to be right, ever.
No.
He's going to be a screwed up adult, more than likely.
And that poor girl will never be the same again.
And the poor girl's never going to be the same again. I don't know how old they were. I don't remember.
They were teenage, high school, which is young enough.
Still, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's no age that's acceptable.
No. But they're going to be messed up for their whole freaking lives. And it's probably because that boy did not have a strong male person in his life that he could admire, that he could have as a role model to teach him, to smack him if he says something disrespectful to either him or the kid's mother or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't have a mother to help instill the beauty and respect that a woman deserves as well, you know? This is why these issues piss me off so much.
Let's be real. Let's be real. There are certain things that men do in life, and there are certain things that women do in life. Not stay home and run the kitchen. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, men are normally hunter-gatherers, right? They're a protective being. They provide.
Let's go back 1,000 years, right?
Right. Mothers. Let's look at animals today. Dogs. Any animal. The natural instinct of a mother or a female is to nourish and
Nurture
and have kids and reproduce and care for those kids, while the father figure, the male, is there to provide that and to protect that and make sure that those kids have the opportunity to be raised in a loving home,
right?
In a protected home.
There's a lot of different avenues that this conversation can go on, but I have to say a few things here. Like, there's something, and I had this conversation in both colleges I went to with women. One was a girl I was really close with at the school I went to in New York, and you know, we didn't exactly agree on feminism, but she was interested in my viewpoint and vice versa. We had a great conversation, and I was like, listen, feminism, this new age feminism, I can't remember what the heck it was, but it was like new age feminism and then older feminism, whereas older feminism was suffrage. It was like
The right to vote,
yeah. Empowering women to have the same opportunities. That's good feminism. The bad feminism is de-womanizing women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like shaming pregnant women or whatever, all this kind of stuff. You know, all that. That's bad stuff. So like we were talking, and I was basically saying, you know, our differences are what makes us beautiful and what makes us strong. Like touching on what you said, women biologically and naturally, there's no one that can make you feel better like your mom, right? There's just your dad just can't do it. At the end of the day, no one can help you, nurture you, comfort you as much as your mom. And I'm not a professional, so I'm probably going to leave out a ton more strengths. But women, they're way more beautiful than us. They're most of the time they're yeah, right. They're most of the time more well-spoken than us, probably. There is a laundry list of things. A lot of times they're more patient. A lot of times they're the voice of reason in our lives. A lot of times they're this, and that. And they are the beautiful flip side of the coin of men. Men, we are the bulls in the china shop a lot of times.
You're blunt.
We're blunt sometimes. We're the fighters sometimes. We're this, they're that. And, you know, there's beauty in these differences. If I had to say, and this goes into the leg of this topic, whereas, you know, women in the military, that's fine, but I want you to pass the same freaking standard that men have to pass in order to be a service member. You know what I mean? Because, like, they talk about different standards for women to join this or that. It's BS. I got a buddy in the FDNY, and they have different standards for women. That doesn't make any sense. If women want to be a firefighter, that's fine, but they need to be able to uphold the same standards as the men that do it, you know? Yeah. That's fine. Anyways, back to my point. If I have to go to war, if I have to go to a battle, if I have to go to a fight, I'm not asking my wife to go with me. I'm asking you to go with me. And here's why. I don't want anything happening to my wife, win or lose the fight. I don't want even her being put in danger, you know? Whereas, like, there's just something about two men, like my best friends. Not that I want them to get hurt. I'm more okay with them being hurt than I am with my wife. And that sounds wrong, and I don't mean it in the way that it probably sounds, but it has to make sense to you, right? Because you're looking at my face. But, like, I'm willing to get hurt defending you and probably vice versa. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure my wife feels the same way. Well, she's got red in her hair. I know she's the same way. But anyways, I don't want it to happen. Like, she is the mother of my children. Like, she is the voice of reason and the voice of comfort and the source of love in our household for the most part. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I want to be the protector. I take pride in that job, and I don't want her to ever have to be in a position that she has to do that job.
Right. And I think a lot, like, your two best friends, like, if they were to get hurt for her in her place, they'd be okay with it.
Absolutely.
And that's most
It's like
men.
brothers at arms, you know what I mean? Like, these guys would lay down their lives for the man next to them.
Right.
And I'm not saying women wouldn't do that. Absolutely they would if they were in the service. But it's like, it's just there's an innate natural feeling in me that I don't ever want any women, not just my wife, any woman to have to do that for me.
Like, you feel different if you see a woman get punched in the face than a man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right. And we're not trying to say all women are these fragile little creatures, but here's the thing, man. Going back to the biological side of things, take the strongest woman in the world, take the strongest man in the world. The strongest man is always going to be stronger than the strongest woman. Mm-hmm. That is just biologically the way it is. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, but again, biologically, the male recognizes that the woman is the nurturer and that she is weaker. Like, if I saw a guy get punched in the face, I'd be like, he probably deserves it. Like, that looked like it hurt. If I see a woman get punched in the like, we're going down. Like, no.
Yeah, right. There's going to have to be an absolute extreme circumstance.
Unless that woman jacked up, it punched you in the face or pulled a gun on you.
Yeah, she's going to have like a weapon of some sort.
I mean, I equal rights, equal fights. That's what I'm saying. But, like, seriously, you feel different if you see a woman or a male. Because, like, it's just that I don't know. You can't explain it. Like, you just feel differently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's some things are beyond explanation, I think, and maybe you'll have some super psychologist come on here and say, "Well, this is why." And okay, great. But what I'm saying is, it's like inside of you. It's this feeling, this heart of hearts, knowing that it's not okay to see a woman get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Or, you know, for a woman to have to, I don't know, fight in her man's stead. Like, that's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, that way of thinking is kind of going away, and I think that's a shame. I really do. And that's what I mean by the dangers of calling men, strong, manly freaking men, toxic, and calling a housewife a weak woman or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's women that want to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. That's great. Do your thing, man. And then there's women that want to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That's great. Do your freaking thing. Yeah. You know, you're still a woman, and you can do whatever the heck you want, but still take pride in your differences from a man. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can do stuff that men can't do that you should be proud about, and vice versa.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, and like I agree with you. Like when those, like it might have been. I don't know. I think it was Rogan and Ben Shapiro talking about how right before Rome fell. There's a whole book about how right before big, not countries, but like empires before they fall, the last thing to get confused is gender.
Get out of here.
No. And there's a whole book. I can't remember the book name, but I think Shapiro was talking about it.
Yeah, well, remember that experiment I was talking about? The mouse utopia.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, it makes sense because once you confuse gender, that's the most basic thing. So everything falls like domino effect.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. And I was like, I got like goosebumps when he said that. I was like, holy crap.
And where are we now?
Yeah.
For the past 10 years.
Exactly.
Because it's not been that long that this has been a thing.
No, because when we were kids, this wasn't a thing.
I mean, you said 2 years, and that might be pretty dang true. Because, like, let's say before 2016, you didn't hear about this stuff. sure, there were transgender people, but they weren't trying to force it down your throat. And they also weren't trying to sit here and say, like, a man is a woman and a woman is a man. That
Well, I
wasn't
think
a national
it's
issue.
social media.
Absolutely.
Because now you have something like Twitter or, let's say, Instagram, where someone who believes a certain way can post something and then 1 million people can reshare it. And all of a sudden now 100 million people see that.
Now that's
and
a
think
third of the country.
It's some kind of reality.
Right.
And now that changes literally the culture.
Yeah. People have a disconnect with reality nowadays, but anyway.
I think we're wrapping up.
Yes, we are.
Well, I'm glad to have you back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, man.
I didn't want to miss as many episodes as I have, but
Well, I mean, sometimes work and family comes first, man.
yeah.
So, well, with that, guys, we thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, we've been rambling, but there's stuff. And this, I mean, it might sound like we're repeating ourselves, but at the end of the day, it's just like aggravating. And
These are important issues that you should start to care about too, if you don't already.
Yeah, because I mean, this does change the culture and the direction our society goes.
It's going to change your kids' lives.
Yeah, and if you don't have kids, you should start thinking about
Your friends' kids.
your friends' kids, or when you do have kids.
Sure. Yep. Well, guys, as usual, if you see a uniform, thank them. Police, firefighter, EMS, nurse, all of them. Military, thank them. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate your support. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media pages, email, anything like that.
Yep. American Sons Podcast on basically all social media. You'll find us.
Yep.
And then American Sons Podcast at gmail.com. Send us your comments, your concerns, questions, whatever you got. If you want to hear some stuff on the podcast that you want us to talk about,
Let us know.
Please let us know. We'd love to talk about some more stuff that you guys want to hear. So with that, thank
All
you.
right. See you guys.
I am the American son, never backing down, ain't never gonna run. I am the American son, never backing down, ain't never gonna run. I am the American son, never backing down, ain't never gonna run. I am the American son, gonna take it to my grave.